really appreciate this opportunity. I'm glad that we were able to combine forces, so this is really powerful. All right, so imagine you're back in high school. Remember that? No, of course I know.
Can we all leave now?
Imagine you're actually back in high school and you're with your friends and you're enjoying life, right? Like there was a time of just excitement and you were so, everything you could do was just, the world was right in front of you, right? It was there. Did you feel it? Remember that time? Might have been in cheerleading or your football or you're the captain of the football team and you had the opportunity to have as many people around you as possible. But more importantly, remember the time when you were a freshman and it first started in high school. Brand new, maybe to the school, have no idea who these other people are out there. Are they gonna like me or are they gonna dislike me or are they gonna turn around and like throw things at me? Remember those times? Yeah. And then you get to sophomore year and you're feeling pretty good. Like you're feeling a little bit better because now you have a few friends with you. You're feeling pretty confident, but you're still learning and growing. Imagine being 15 and finding out that you're pregnant. Take a minute to think about that. You're 15, you found out that you were pregnant. You're scared to death. Who am I going to reach out to? Who am I going to talk to? What do I do? Like, you might have been part of the track team or the cheerleading team, or you might have been part of the basketball team. You might have been vice president or the president of the class, whatever, treasurer. You found out you were pregnant. You were faced with so many uncertainties and things you had no clue as to what it is that you were going to be doing. That was me. At age 15, I became pregnant. Talk about being scared. I was afraid. Like I was a cheerleader. I had my high school sweetheart. I had plans and aspirations. I mean, I was in school band, singing and acting. I was an actress and I did acting at the theater. All of that was getting ready to stop for my life. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know where I was going to go, how this was all going to work. And gosh, I got to be able to have communication with not only my family about this, but my friends and my high school sweetheart's family. Teachers. I grew up in a Hispanic family, which is an amazing family. There's 5 of us kids. I happened to be the oldest. I was setting the stage for everybody. Take that. Got myself in trouble. Woo! How do you think that was going to go over, right? Some example I became. Throughout my life, I was a student president, my class, and in the freshman year, I had a lot of things happening for me. I had faced something I was really fearful of. So I had to make some decisions in my life. What am I going to do? What am I going to do with this situation? And I will tell you that I felt like I made the best decision possible, which is being able to raise my son. And I'm so glad that I did. But it wasn't easy. Like, I had 5 kids of us. In my family, my mom was taking care of my grandma. She lived with us. My dad was always working, and he had his own set of problems as far as alcoholism is concerned. We dealt with that. Our needs were always met, but it didn't mean that my parents lived a very financial good life. My youngest brother was 8 months older than the son I gave birth to in July back at that time. We're in this house together. What am I going to do? I knew I had a choice to make some choices, and I made the choices. I knew that I needed to do something. I wasn't going to put this additional responsibility onto my parents. It wasn't their responsibility, it was my responsibility. So I had to take and figure out, how am I going to move past this, and what am I going to be doing? Opportunity came my way, which I was really surprised with. And again, I am in school. I went through school being big, pregnant, the whole thing, walking in class, hearing all the kids make their comments, the teachers making their comments, rolling their eyes, the principal wanting to talk to me because he wanted me to do alternative school, not to be present with all the other kids. I totally get it, right? So this opportunity came, and I went for this opportunity. And the opportunity at the time, I chose to do like a little job at the theater, working at the theater. I worked to get some money on the weekends by serving breakfast at this little cafe shop in Niwot, Colorado. And then I had an opportunity to interview with a bank. With a bank. What are the chances of that happening? I had somebody in my life who happened to be my high school sweetheart's sister, who actually said, June, we have an opening. I think you should come check this out. Wow. I started in banking as a bookkeeper part-time. I would go from my school, take the bus from Longmont to Boulder, and go to work part-time, and I would do school part-time. Middle of my junior year, an opportunity came for a full-time bookkeeper position with the bank. After talking to my counselors, I decided this is what I'm going to do. I needed and wanted to be able to take care of my son. I didn't want to be a statistic. I didn't want to be relying on welfare. I didn't want my parents to have to worry about this, so I chose to do that. Took the job full-time. I remember this pay, remember it always, $840 a month. And I thought I was making killing money, which I was at the time. I was doing really well. I elected to leave school. That was tough. Got to keep in touch with my friends still be able to participate in activities. And I got my GED the same year I would have normally graduated. So 2 years spending time at the bank. Pretty cool. Being able to do that and learn and grow actually helped me to prepare where I'm at right now, and we'll talk about that. I had a little moment like trying to figure out like really what I want to do with my life. My son and I were in our own duplex. I had the finances to support him and be able to help him out. I had a little throwaway car. It was this white Honda Accord. My husband still laughs at it about. It was a piece of anything. And then I did get some assistance for childcare, which I was very grateful and blessed that I was able to do that. So I can continue to support him. It was 3 months later that when I left the bank, I actually had an opportunity to go work with my dad at a manufacturing company. And I worked with him. He was a general manager there at the time, and I worked with him. And that's when I got to meet, you can go ahead to the next slide. I got to meet my husband. I'm going to show you who he is because I'm really proud of him. Go ahead and hit it. There he is. That's my husband. He was one of the best things that ever happened to me. We met, we're together for 3 months, and we got married. And he embraced my son, and he loves him to death and adopted him. We've been married, going next January, 38 years. Thank you. I'm excited. This is our family. We look kind of goofy. We like to have fun. We have a couple of people missing from that. One of my grandsons who's in Minnesota is missing from that picture. And my daughter-in-law is missing from that picture. But this is the rest of my family. I have, you can go ahead and hit enter. I've got Now, 7 grandkids. You can go ahead and hit, there you go. The newest one is Layden. There. My daughter, Sarah, my youngest. My son, Thomas. He's the fun one of the group, always doing something goofy with us. His wife, who's in the picture, Isaiah's in the picture in that one. This is my oldest, Jonathan. I'm very proud of that. You go ahead. Why do I tell you this? Because I had a lot of fear going on during this time. This helped shape what I was going to be doing for the rest of my life. I was going to be facing obstacles that were ahead of me. It was going to help me to be able to position me to be able to know what direction I'm going to be going and who I'm going to be helping along the way. Without that experience, without facing that, I don't know where I would have been. But I did it. I did it with God's help, and I'm thankful for that. So why am I here now? How's it happen? Well, you know, I took the training that I received and the beginning steps of working in the bank, and I worked several years in financial institutions. 25 years of senior management leadership roles. I was able to go from this 16-year-old bookkeeper who didn't know anything about the corporate environment. I didn't even really know how to dress, let's face it. And an interview, how do I interview? Like, I didn't know any of this stuff. But there were people in my life that helped me along the way. And because of that, I'm so grateful for that. But what I did find through all of this is I was able to do this by working and learning and growing and making mistakes and being able to face the failures that were ahead of me and be able to overcome and be able to make that happen, and I thank God for that. One of the things I would say, I did all of this. I went into a senior vice president role, leading teams, 10 to 15 lead teams of managers at banks who had other teams, over 191 team members at any given time, managing billions of dollars in assets. And I did that with the GED. It was hard. It was difficult. It was challenging. I was always the youngest person for the longest time working in that environment. Talking about a time where was male dominance that took place there. And then I was a female who was the youngest one, and I always looked like a little child at the time, right? And I had to learn to take me seriously in what took place. So I took upon myself and became a student of the game. Learned, went to classes, got some training. How do I lead a team? How do I become the best leader I can be? What can I be doing to be able to continue to grow and develop so that I can develop others so they can be their best? That helped propel my career. So for, honestly, 30 years plus in the financial industry, with 25 years being in that senior management roles, it was spectacular. And I wouldn't take that back. There was times I came over fear that came upon me when I needed to go and address the big CEOs of Wells Fargo, and I had to deliver a plan of how we were going to build a new branch in our area in Arizona, and I had to be able to share this plan, and this was the first time that I ever had an interaction with the CEO of a Fortune 500 of that nature. One-on-one, meeting with them like that, right? In a group. I shouldn't say one-on-one, but we were in a group going through that. That was crazy. But I had to find a way to recognize the fear that I had and be able to move through it and how that happened. So Today, I get the pleasure of being able to I love leading teams, but I'm not leading teams right now. What I get to do is be able to help provide personal and professional coaching for business owners, professionals, salespeople, you name it. I get to help change the lives of those individuals that really want to invest in themselves, that want to be the best version of themselves and want to be successful, and they want to have a successful business. I love what I get to do. I love it. I wouldn't ask for anything different. But let me ask you a question, because I know I've felt fear in my life. I felt fear when I went and decided to do this on my own. When I'm talking about a corporate job, I mean, I was making some really, really, really good money. And I was very grateful for that. My 401k matches were 8%. I mean, it was pretty awesome. And I decided to venture and do this by myself. Took the plunge. Had to believe in myself. And be able, what is it that I'm going to be able to do to be able to help others, because I was so passionate in being able to do that. That was fear. Now I want you to think about for yourself. What gets in the way of you being able to do your best? What gets in the way of you being able to see your business grow? Or if you're a salesperson, what gets in the business of you being able to make more money? Or anybody making more money? Most entrepreneurs, the biggest thing that faces them is fear. It's fear. I'm going to go through this pretty fast. Fear of not being good enough. Anybody ever experienced that? I don't think that I am going to be good enough to be able to do this. I think there's times in my life that it's like, yeah, am I really going to be able to do this? Like, have this? I don't know if I'm going to be good enough here. You know, like, can I really do this? I got this. I have this passion to build this thing, and I know it can really do something, but gosh, I don't know if I'm good enough to make it happen. I don't know if I have the right skills or anything to be able to do that. The other thing that pushes us is making mistakes. We have a fear of making mistakes. Anybody ever experienced a fear of making mistakes? Wow. If we don't make mistakes, how do we grow? We've got to be able to make mistakes. We've got to be able to take those chances to be able to help us to grow. The fear of the unknown. Right now, it's unknown times for many of us. How many times do we hear like the whole, oh, we're going to have a third world war, or who knows about this economy? This is, we're in this situation right now where the inflation is so high. I don't think people are going to be willing to buy my product right now. We get into this space and we fear what the unknown is actually there. And then there's the fear of rejection. Wow. Rejection. I want to go actually have a conversation with somebody about my product or my service. But I'm scared to do that because I'm afraid they're going to say no. So we don't do it. I'm actually going to go and ask for a loan for my business so that I can grow it. But you know what? I'm afraid they're just going to say no. We fear rejection. We also fear not having enough money. I see some heads shaking here. We fear not having enough money to be able to grow the business the way we want it. But more importantly, okay, I've got some needs that I have. I need to buy some more equipment, right? I know that if I buy some more equipment, it's going to help me grow the thing. But you know what? If I do that, I may not have enough money to cover the bills that I have, so I don't know if I should do that. So we worry about this not enough money aspect. We sometimes worry about that just in our personal own development. We hate spending that money because we're not sure if I'm going to get it in return, or I'm not sure if I'm going to get that in return because I'm not sure if I'm going to actually have the money to be able to pay that and keep it going on. It goes on and on. It's the fear of letting go of control. Wow. Can this person actually do what it is that I do so well when I do this with my clients and when I'm with my client or the products, or if I was to go and actually trust them to run the cash register for a little while. Can I trust them to actually have a good conversation with my client? We're afraid of letting go. And then we fear taking risks. We've all kind of heard the saying, you got to be able to take a risk every once in a while in order to get a return, right? The whole thing. Taking risks, man, that's a, whew. I don't know if I should jump into that right now. Do I really want to jump into this new venture? Do I really want to stay, should I just stay with who I have right now? Or, you know what? I know that this could probably benefit this set of group right here. But man, it's a risk. It's fear. Fear gets in the way of that too. And then we fear change. Some of us have been in our business, doing our business for 10, maybe 20 years, 15 years, who knows? Maybe it's just 5 years. But we fear the fact of the new AI, fear the fact of the new technology that's needed in order to be able to help grow that, right? We fear changing what could potentially help us to get our business functioning better. We fear changing it because you're so comfortable in what it is that you're doing right now, and why do it? It's working, but we fear the change. More importantly, what we fear is disappointing others. Not even just talking about disappointing ourselves, because at times we fear disappointing ourselves, it's disappointing others. So if I was to hire you to come on to my company, what if I don't have enough work for you? What if I don't have enough customers for you? So we fear that we're going to disappoint them because we're going to have to lay them off, right? Or we fear we're disappointing our family because we're trying to do this thing and it's not working out the way maybe it's supposed to be working out. So we got this fear and it just continues to evolve. We fear failure. Oh, competition. I forgot about competition. We fear competition too, but we fear failure. Most entrepreneurs don't even start. They have a great plan. Somebody who really wants to be able to start their business, but they don't because they fear failing. And surprisingly, the one major thing that business owners and entrepreneurs, everybody has, is they fear success. What if I get all of these clients? What if I get all of these clients? Or what if I sell all of these products and I'm not able to deliver what it is I'm supposed to be delivering in the timely manner? So they fear the success that's going to come along the way. How many of you related to at least one of those fears that are up there? It's okay if you relate to all of them. We have that happen at times in our lives and throughout our times. So how do we move past that? Well, we know that fear is, and you've probably heard this, false, you can go ahead and put it in there, evidence appearing real. Anybody heard that before? False evidence appearing real. It hasn't happened yet, but we're already fearing it. So it becomes like it's real. And it becomes in our mind. And our reality is, this didn't happen, but our mind has made it a reality, and it causes us to spin and continue to spin, and therefore it causes us to flee. I'm going to run away. I'm going to stay paralyzed and not do anything at all. I'm going to play it safe. Those are just a couple of possibilities that can happen when we allow that to happen. So how do we overcome it? Well, the best way to overcome fear is to take action. So let's walk through some of these steps. We got to recognize the fear. Recognize it for what it is. I'll just play it really simple. I I got to pick up the phone and I need to make some phone calls because I really want to reach out to a new prospect and hopefully set time for the two of us to meet. I don't know if I will. I mean, if I do it, you know, who knows what's going to happen on the other side. So what do? You know what? I'm going to try calling back a little later. I'm going to go get some water. I'm going to go do this. We do this creative avoidance that starts to take place. But if we are not recognizing the fear that's there, how do we move forward? We got to be able to understand, like, am I experiencing fear right now? Am I not doing something because I am being fearful? Because I'm fear that it's going to disappoint someone, or I fear that it's going to, you know, make me look like an idiot when I walk in there. You know, we got to recognize it. The second thing we got to be able to do is realize the likelihood of the fear actually coming to pass. The reality is that it's very slim to none that fear will come to pass. So if we don't recognize our fears and we don't look at how we can address them, we're going to be thinking that it's going to be there and like that, oh, 80% of the time what I fear is going to happen, when reality is it's not that way at all. Maybe 5% of the time it's actually going to happen. Think about it on your own life. Like when you actually took the time to push through the fear and you actually picked up the phone and called that person, or you walked up to the person and introduced yourself even though you were fearful of doing that. Really, your reality didn't even set in that they were thinking that they were going to say something silly about you, the fact that you did that. Absolutely not. But we allow our mind, it's a mind game that takes place. And so we have to be able to recognize it and be able to do that. And we do that with this, using self-talk. What we're experiencing is emotional. It's an emotional response that's taking place. So our emotions set in, we get nervous, we get anxious, we get whatever the case may be, the emotions, instead of thinking of it logically. When we can push past through the emotions and focus on the logic, that's where we're going to see change happen. That's where you're going to see success happen. That's where you're going to be able to push through it. So the positive self-talk could be as simple as, I got this. It's going to go well. Lord help me. It can be as simple as that, right? I love to hear the word no. I know it's crazy. But no means they made a decision and I'm not guessing on whether they're going to do it or not. I'd rather hear a no than hear a maybe, or let me get back to you, right? Wouldn't you all yeah, we all would. But when I hear a no, just because of my spiritual beliefs and I believe in God, I will say a prayer for that person and pray that they will have a great rest of the day and the Lord will just take care of them, whatever their needs are. That's it. Form a positive self-talk. Whatever your self-talk is, it's got to happen though, because it's going to help take away those negative and those noises that come in our heads that try to get us from not moving forward. We have to have a solid plan. How many of you have actually spent some time looking at your plan lately? A couple. How many of you still need to make a plan? We've got to be able to have a plan of action. What is that going to look like, right? We got resources out there to help us with that. We're putting this plan together, short, long term, specific, with things. When we have a plan, it helps us to conquer the fear because we go back to the plan. and how we're going to execute against the plan. And if we've got a good plan, we can move past the fear. And then take action. You know what take action is? I talked about being a student of game. I had to learn certain skills on how do I communicate with C-suite executives. I needed to be able to I needed to be able to overcome an objection, as simple as that, right? But taking action is moving past whatever it is that you have and just take action on it. Make the steps. If it's just, 1 or 2 steps, that's okay. But you just do it. So if it means I'm actually going to go and introduce myself to you, I'm going to do that. And it's not just in an environment of a networking group, but it is an environment out there. I want my business to grow. Why wouldn't I talk to everybody? Why wouldn't I have a conversation, right? Getting out and taking the action. You need skills to develop? We've got to develop the skills. You want to get better at being able to be a good leader for your team members, or you want to be able to be good at being able to talk to your clients more effectively and understand their actual needs and what's important to them and what they like about the certain products that they're using right now and what they need in order to go forward with their life and be able to do that. You've got to be able to develop your skills. So taking action. That taking action could be getting a coach. Right. It could be that. And using the services to help you identify the gaps in your life that are taking place, or the gaps in your business, the strengths. And I'm all about, whenever you have your strengths, you focus on those strengths. Identify those weaknesses and really get a good plan in place to make it happen. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acknowledging that you have fear and choosing to act anyway. Have courage today. Have courage tomorrow. Take action. Overcome the fear. Thank you for allowing me to be here today.